What do you guys give me if I kill that bird? Barbara, that's a bald eagle. Get away, baldy! Yeah!
Oh, well, good evening, and good evening. This is The Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve, GubsRadio.com. Tonight we are live on Facebook, live on YouTube on the Govs Comedy Club radio channel. We're also live on our homepage, GubsRadio.com. And boy, do we have a fantastic show for you tonight. We have Peconic Brewing in the house, but first, we are going to get right to our special guest that we told you coming up tonight on the Zoom tonight. We have our friend, our buddy, our pal, Zane Lamprey in the house. What's up, Zane? What's going on?
How are you guys? You guys are based out of Strong Island, is that right?
That is right. You are a New York-bred boy, aren't you?
Well, I'm from Syracuse. Do you really call that New York? Because I've had to make that argument before.
Well, if you New York adjacent.
If you say the hard streets of Syracuse, then you're definitely a New Yorker.
Yeah. There's like one hard street in Syracuse. Unfortunately, I'm not from there.
All right. Well, Zane, thanks a lot for spending some time with us tonight. We want to get right to you. We usually do some promos and kind of bullshit for a couple hours and so, but we want to get to you because you have a fantastic thing happening that is right up our alley, and that is a comedy tour, 90-city comedy tour, if I'm not mistaken, at breweries all across the country. And you're already had started that, right? It already has started.
I haven't even started rehearsing that or memorizing it. No, I've been writing it for about 2 years. I was supposed to do it in 2020, but of course, we got stopped by that.
Why? What happened?
It was this little thing. It was a snafu, if you will. No biggie. Yes. No biggie. No one was affected. Just me. I start that on June 3rd out here at LA Ale Works. And then it goes all the way through until December 18th at Mission Brewing in San Diego.
Wow.
And I'm going to be on Long Island on October 3rd.
Yep.
At Blue Point. Yep. That's going to be an amazing event. If anyone listening knows who the heck I am and is interested in going, go and get tickets because the shows are selling out very quickly. You go to ZaneLamprey.com and you can get tickets to all of the shows. On May 5th, there will be a few more shows added, and then that is it, because that is all the calendar will allow me. Between the calendar and my wife, the number of days I'm allowed out at breweries drinking, if you will, and I will.
And we will.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to say this. Your liver is going to have to figure itself out here, right? Correct? I mean,
I'm on my third liver. I don't even know whose liver this was. But I tell you what, it is fantastic, and it is doing a fantastic job of scrubbing out all the booze from the night before.
I want to get into a couple things. First of all, for those, again, who don't know who you are, this is Zane Lamprey, host of one of my favorite drinking shows, Three Sheets, also of Drinking Made Easy, old school HD net programming, loved it when it was on. And of course, continued on from there, had 4 Sheets, did Chug, also has a clothing line and Venture. I want you to talk a little bit about that. And then, of course, the upcoming brewery tour and probably many other things. You're just a hustler out there constantly at work.
I have to. Well, I have to work twice as hard right now because of, hashtag 2020.
Right.
I mean, look, everything that I do works together. And look, I've been very lucky to have had the opportunity to host Three Sheets. I didn't take that show for granted one day that I was doing it. The same with Drinking Made Easy, which was made a little bit more difficult by the fact that I had my best friend Steve McKenna in that show.
Oh, yeah.
You would know any gray hairs I have in my head are attributed to that young man.
He's right there, Zane. He's sitting on my tap. I don't know. It's hard to see. It's tiny.
Oh my God, that is Steve.
That's old school Steve sticker.
That is old school. That is when Steve was fun.
Yeah.
Steve doesn't drink anymore because, quite frankly, there's nothing left. He drank it all. He's done.
Yeah.
So and now he lives in all places, Utah. So he's a non-drinker in Utah, joining the rest of the many drinkers, but many non-drinkers out there.
Tell us a little bit about the adventure clothing line, because I'm wearing probably one of the first prototypes, the drinking jacket tonight.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
drinking jacket. I got.
Well, look, it started as like you said, a drinking jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I also have my wife and I run a pet rescue. So there may or may not be about 20 animals in my house, and one of them is just.
One of them needs to say hi then, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a cat. Oh, it's a pup. Oh, it's a kitty cat. There you go.
Hey, buddy. What are you doing? I'm in the middle of work. I can't talk to you right now. I'm so sorry. She'll come back. So adventure. The first thing we made right there is the drinking jacket, which was kind of tongue in cheek. Like it really isn't like something that you take out drinking, although it was amazing at beers festivals. And so some people are like, "Oh, I didn't buy it because I'm not that big of a drinker." It was like, no, it's just a cool sweatshirt with a lot of like innovations and stuff built into it. So that led to the Adventure hoodie, which led to Adventure the brand. And we make innovative apparel for travelers and livers of life. And by that we mean people that like to get out there, explore, have a great time. We don't make like, you're not going to wear our stuff when you're climbing the north face of, wherever the north face is. But really it's more for travelers and people who like to have a good time and enjoy an adult beverage. And so now we actually plant 3 trees with every purchase. So it's ADV 3 NTURE. The first E is a 3 because we plant 3 trees with every product sold. So we planted, I don't know what the number is now, but it's somewhere over 200,000 or 300,000 trees that we planted in the U.S.
Wow.
And are we making a difference? We are. Are we doing it quickly enough? I'm not sure. But we're definitely raising awareness for people that need to know that we need more dogs.
Yep.
And we need more. Gee,
James is going to go run and get the dog.
That was. She could have played it cool, pretending like it wasn't your dog, but the fact that you ran out, everyone knows it was your dog. There we go.
There he is. Hey, you got to show a pup.
And the dog is wearing a speaker on his face too. That's why it was so loud.
It's a megaphone.
Yeah. Projecting sound all over the place. Zane, so this comedy tour, I want to find out a little bit about this. I know you said you hadn't rehearsed just yet, but how did this come about? What was the essence behind it? Besides, basically drinking for free for 90 days out of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I technically haven't paid for a drink since the late 90s, but
smart.
I was both. I mean, I started 3 Sheets in 2007, so I guess I was stealing them for about 8 years. But and it's funny. I mean, to be honest with you, I rehearse my stand up every day. I'm writing and rehearsing all that kind of stuff. What's interesting is I went and did a stand-up comedy tour. The last one I did was Drinking Made Easy.
Yep.
And that was the Drinking Made Easy comedy tour, which was launching the show Drinking Made Easy, which was on, as you mentioned, Mark Cuban's HDNet. And I couldn't very well go on the Drinking Made Easy tour and talk about 3 Sheets. I couldn't talk about, getting drunk in Moscow and then a machine gun comes out, or, drinking in Champagne, France, or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so this is really like this. And by the way, it was the beginning of Drinking Made Easy. So we didn't even have Drinking Made Easy stories. So this is a lot of my favorite stories from 3 Sheets, Drinking Made Easy, some from some of the other shows I did. But, just really like when you drink for a living and you're traveling around the world, shit happens. I mean, I'm going to say that. I don't know if you guys have ever been in that situation, but stuff goes down. So this is, and there's not really like, it's not like we could be videotaping when the stuff actually happens. So these are more stories, right? Like you don't know when a night is going to go sideways. So you end up with an amazing story. So these are a bunch of those stories, and other things as well. You know, delving into other parts of my life. It's basically like a collection of things that I've done wrong, because that's what comedy is. It's my mistakes.
That's usually the best stuff right there.
It is. It's self-deprecating because it's accurate. It's self-defecating because I'm talking about Steve McKenna, and you know. listen, guys, we went to Cortland College. I don't know if you've been there, if you know anyone that's gone there, but you understand what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plenty of shenanigans happen at the old SUNY schools.
You know, there's nothing but shenanigans going on. It depends who you are, who your friends are. So that, you know, that's really what the stand-up is about. And this is, you know, what's interesting is I've done 4 drinking shows. I've done a Food Network show. I've done some shows for National Geographic Channel, you know, Travel Channel, Food Network, whatever. And really, when you're doing that, no matter how good you can do or how much work you put into what you're doing, at some point, someone just flips a switch and you're done. When they decide that you're done, you're done. And you're kind of standing there like, okay, what's next? And they're like, I don't know, you're dead to us. You know, you go figure it out. And so that's what a lot of my life has been, is those highs and those lows. Just one day you're on top of the world, and the next day figure out what's next. And so I've always wanted to do a stand-up tour, but honestly, I've been too busy shooting, because the shooting usually happens during the summer when it's nice. And so this year, actually, which was supposed to be last year, I was like, look, I'm just gonna do the stand-up comedy tour. I don't care if a show comes along. Sorry, I'm busy. I'm gonna go do stand-up, because this is what I've been dying to do for, you know, get back to for a long time. And the thing is, you're doing a stand-up comedy tour. No network is going to come in and shut you down. You know,
Right.
It's just like it's just you and God. And the only person that could have stopped my tour, you know, in 2020 was God. And then she thought it'd be funny if she did.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I said she, but you know,
Could be. Who knows?
Because I tempted her. I said, you know, only you can shut it down. She's like, watch. So.
I want to talk a little bit about Monkey Rum, because last time, honestly, we met, I was in New York City on the opening release of Monkey Rum at one of the bars in New York City. It was probably one of the most memorable days that I had, and I'll explain why in just a moment.
If you remember it, then obviously you're doing something wrong.
Well, I don't remember the second half of the day. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
So we were headed off to a 311 tour over on Pier 96 right after we were hanging with you guys for a few hours.
God. Do you remember? Oh, so you don't. So that's what you don't remember.
That's the part where things start getting blurry. And believe it or not, right after that, my friend's girlfriend had tickets for us at the Sarah Bareilles concert at Madison Square Garden Theater. So I went to you, and then I went to 311, and then I went to Sarah Bareilles.
You went to 2 concerts in one night?
Oh, yeah. I didn't mean to. I just got dragged to it, and I was so drunk not to say no.
Oh, my God.
I'm standing in the middle of an all-female audience wondering what just happened.
Yeah,
Still pretty drunk off of some Monkey Rum, that's for sure.
Well, listen, Monkey Rum is an amazing brand. It's an amazing rum. It's an amazing group of people. I have moved on from it.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, let's leave it ambiguously like that. That's not a word.
Kind of annoyed that I drank my bottle then too. I didn't save it either.
Yeah, we were fine until you came along and drank all of it. So
Yes.
and then went to like 17 concerts in a night.
Yeah, it was one of those days where I just talk about it, but it starts off with you at like 11 a.m. drinking Monkey Rum at a bar in New York City.
And was Steve there for this one?
Yeah, oh yeah, I have a picture of you, me, Steve, and my buddy whose girlfriend ruined my night. So we have a good one.
So was that where Steve was dressed as a professor?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Again, guys, listen, this is a series of my mistakes. Okay, that was one of them.
That was a mistake. That was fantastic. He walked around.
Just dressing Steve like someone smart is just a contradiction of images.
Did he have a monocle? I don't recall.
He didn't have monocle, but he had these little John Lennon sort of glasses and stuff like that. I don't know.
He was great. We hung out and talked with him for a while, and he it was the OG. He said he'd been drinking with him for 30 years or so.
Yeah, Steve was great. Steve was great.
Yeah.
He was.
Was he a guy from college, from Cortland?
We went to Cortland together.
Okay.
You know, there's a really good story. I will save it for my stand-up. But I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you the beginning and the end. We woke up one day and this was the biggest snowstorm in the last like 100 years in Cortland. I think it was like 1998 or something like that.
Okay.
And we woke up and there was like 3.5 feet of snow. And so you turn on the radio, as one did at that time, to see like what was closed. And of course, the whole college was closed. So what did everyone do? You couldn't, I mean, you can't expect me to make it to class. There's so much snow and I just, whatever. And it's like, okay, it's, well, school's closed. Like, okay, well, are the bars open? So we went downtown Cortland. All the bars were open and they were packed. And so we went to the point like we went in and it was like 6 people deep. And the only way you're getting drinks is if you knew that person who was kind of camped out at the front of the bar, and that person was Steve. And so it ended. That's kind of, I'm not sure if I tell the whole joke or if I save it. Screw it. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the story. So we were just set it up and hey, you want the rest? Come and buy tickets.
Yeah.
So then we get to this point where there's like a sewer break, I guess because of the cold or whatever, and it was just like, holy cow, the whole bar cleared out. But Steve like kept his spot at the bar, like a trooper, like, no, I'm not leaving, whatever, and it cleared out, whatever, and everyone went back into the bar, and the next morning Steve was just laughing uncontrollably as he will, and it was like, what's going on? He's like, man, I think you guys kind of overreacted when I crapped my pants last night because. So it was him. Steve was the reason.
Oh.
And so the what happened with this story is when I was doing 3 sheets, we had 1 camera guy. When we had drinking middies, we had 2 camera guys, sometimes 3. But we had 1 camera guy for 3 sheets. So we would, on a 2-shot, we would shoot the whole interview. The person I was interviewing and me, whatever, just stay on a wide shot. Then sometimes go to the drink and move around, whatever. But we needed listening shots. So after the interview, they would come and they would focus on me and I would laugh and I would go like shaking my head, no, shake my head, yes, and drink and whatever. Just do things so the editor had something to cut to. Then we switched around and we would shoot the interviewee and like, okay, now make a happy face. Say no. And like their acting was horrible. Like, okay, this isn't working. I need to tell them a story. So I'm telling this story in reverse, but because this part kind of comes first. But I was like, I need to tell them a story that runs the range of emotions. There's a laugh in there. There's a weird face. There's a no. Like just shoot him like camera guy. Just shoot this guy for 2 minutes. I'll tell him a story. You'll end up with every reaction you want. And so I told them that story about Steve crapping his pants. And the thing is like it's a pretty gross story.
It's classic.
But I was determined as a comic. I was like, no, I'm going to figure out how to tell this story and make it funny, and never quite figured it out. So if you watch the first 4 episodes that we shot of 3 sheets, which were Ireland, Wales, Belgium, and Champagne. Anytime you see a reaction shot of one of the people I'm interviewing listening, they're listening to that story.
I got to go back and watch like all the episodes.
Yeah, you have to go back and watch. You're like, if they make like a face like this is when I literally said, and he crapped his pants, and they're like, so you'll catch that.
We have a little bit that we do towards the end that we're going to do with the Peconic boys. Steve asked 3 questions to you, and we actually have to have some beer related questions here. So Steve, take it away with your 3 questions, and I promise at one point we'll dub in. I don't know
why I don't have any Peconic beer in front of me because
it was too quick. It was too quick of a turnaround. By the way, thank you to your tour manager Derek for getting back to us quick. It was kind of like a very quick turnaround late last week, and then we were out of Peconic over the weekend, so it would have been a tough run. But we'll get you some.
I'll yell at Derek about it. It's Derek's fault.
Yeah, in October when you come to Blue Point, I have tickets. I'll sneak in the back with Derek and get you some local stuff.
There we go.
Yeah, see, I make good.
That's how it works.
So Steve has 3 questions for you. I don't have a jingle. We'll dub it in later, like Zane dubs in the reactions. And
there you go.
Ed, Steve, take it away.
So I always ask our guests 3 questions, and I have to break it up because normally at this point everybody's drinking a whole lot and they forget the second question after I say it. Okay. So these are beer related, and first one, what was that beer you had that turned you on to craft beer? Like that first and you're like, what is this all about? Why is this so delicious? And how do I get more?
I don't know when that happened, because even drinking, like, I used to like, I still do, but like Newcastle brown ale, Newcastle brown.
Yeah.
And so that was always, when I would go in, that's what I would drink. And I knew that it was like something different, but this is, I think maybe 20 years ago, where we didn't have a lot of different options and stuff like that. So then when I tried someone else's version of a brown, I was like, oh wow, this is the same yet different. And that's the kind of thing, right, where people are starting to deviate away from those styles and get a little experimental. But I think, like one of my favorite craft beers is, and when I had it, it was kind of like, I'll tell you what, when I had it, I said, you know what, I got to make the guy who owns this brewery my best friend so I can get more of it. And so that beer was Maui Brewing Company's coconut porter, toasted coconut porter.
Yes.
And so when I went to shoot the Hawaii episode of 3 Sheets, we landed, and I'm trying to think of the order in which this happened. They sent us some like for a hotel room or whatever it is, some of that toasted coconut porter, ice cold, and it was like amazing. And I was like, every day we were there, I'm like, we need to get more of this beer. And then when I finally went and sat down and met Garrett, I'm like, okay, I'm glad this guy is cool, because he's going to be my new best friend. And I'll tell you the story. He is. Yeah. so Garrett was at my wedding, and guess what we drank at my wedding? And we vacation every year. I talk to him, at least once a week. And so that's what you get. You make great beer. You get me as a friend.
There you go.
There you go. All right. What is your favorite style of beer?
I like, it would be easier. It's like if you're asking me like my favorite sibling, if it's my brother or sister. And by the way, it's my sister.
Yeah.
So that was actually easier than picking my favorite beer. I like a good stout.
Nice.
And I like a good lager. And I like a good porter. And I like a good red. I just keep going on and on. Look, one of the cool things about craft beer, especially now, like within the last 5 years, I think, is that, and you guys would know this, it's like, it really is, it's everywhere. It's everywhere in a great way. And you can go anywhere, almost any even small town, and you can find a brewery. And the fact that you can actually go and drink something local, to me, is one of the most exciting things about traveling. I love to go and drink what's local, what's made there, that kind of thing. And so beer is really, it's just the embodiment of that. So I love to go around and drink just the local stuff. So it's whatever you got that's local, let me taste it. Let me see how they're doing it here.
There you go.
And last but not least, what would be, if you walked into a bar, what would be that beer that you always look for?
I get asked these questions a lot. What's your favorite place to go? What's your favorite beer? Whatever. And for me, the variety is really the spice of life. And when I go in there and go into, I was at a place called McLeod's, which is a brewery out here owned by Alistair McLeod, a Scotsman. He's got a brewery in Van Nuys, California. And I went there for the first time last week. And he's got a bunch of cask ales, real ales, hand pumps. And I walked in, I was like, oh, give me those. I want to try those. I'm always looking to try something different. And then they were fantastic. They were amazing. So, I've tried so much. I like to often just go in there and see like what's new. What do you do something with hot peppers, you do something with local ingredients, you do something like a throwback or whatever it is. Like, to me, I like to mix it up. And really that is the magic of craft beer. Very, very seldom you walk into a craft brewery and they're like, try our beer. Like they have one beer, you know? You guys like to mix it up too.
Of course. My question, because where you live in California being one of the epicenters of the craft beer scene, how have you seen things change over the last few years? Is it gotten to the point where there's a brewery in every town? Is there a point of complete saturation? You know, how's that business model going out there?
If I were to open a brewery, when I was hosting Three Sheets and I opened one in Los Angeles County, I would have opened the first brewery in Los Angeles County since the Prohibition.
Jesus.
Wow.
And now?
So there were no breweries out here in 2006. I might have that off by a year, but I actually don't think that I'm wrong. So now there are probably 30 at least breweries. And, you know, I'm sitting in my house pointing, which does nothing for anyone, including you guys, whatever.
North, south, east, west.
I mean, look, guys, there's one there. You know, I would say there's easily 30 in Los Angeles. San Diego really more so is way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
With breweries. And at one point, I think when we were shooting Drinking Made Easy, there was like, you know, in the area, and we're talking that whole area, not just in San Diego, there was maybe like 25 to 30. Now if I guess there's 100, I'd probably be on the low side. So it really is. It's really catching up. San Diego was ahead of the country. LA was behind, which is kind of weird, but you know, we're so fancy and entitled out here. You know, we're lucky we have one brewery.
Oh, that leads me into this question. I mean, you picked 90 different cities with a brewery. How did that selection go? Was that something based on capacity, based upon just regional? What was the thought process that went into it?
Man, it's all those things. The last time I did a tour, it was routed by my agent. And routing is basically, look at a map. You got Boston, Providence, Hartford, New York City, Newark, and you just like, okay, this is the route we're going to take. And then we got to find a theater in each one. As long as you do it with enough notice, you can find a theater and then you route it. For us, it wasn't that easy because breweries are not set up to do big stand-up comedy shows. I mean, you know, we're doing like at Blue Point, we're doing 300 people.
Yeah.
Some of them are a little smaller. Some of them are a little bit bigger. But you know, it was a huge challenge doing the route, then finding breweries in those places that would work out. I mean, there's some breweries that are great breweries, and they're like, oh, we can only fit 100 people, and it's like, I guess, you know, we got our overhead too. That we got to be able to cover all the staff and travel and all that kind of stuff. And so we had to sort of make decisions on different places that would work and all that kind of stuff. And then we had to change the routing a lot and just, you know, really shift things. And now we have probably 10 more breweries left to announce on Cinco de Mayo. And then, you know, hopefully at that point we're done. We can focus on the marketing of that and the collaborate. So the collaboration beers, we're making collaboration beers with all the breweries.
Right.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
And so all those collaboration beers will support local animal rescues, which again is something that's important to us. We like to grow trees, and then we like to grow animals that will pee on those trees.
Circle of life. It's beautiful.
When they say circle life, that's what they're referring to. So
can you tell us what the collaboration with Blue Point is, or is that yet?
Or is it the same across all of them?
No, it's not. It's not the same. Okay. One of my tour managers is heading up the collaborations. I don't know what the status of the beer with Blue Point. Where the tour starts in Florida, of course, because they've been open since 2020, and then Texas likewise, Oklahoma.
Oh well, they defeated it a few weeks ago. They announced it.
They did. They keep beating it, losing, and beating it again. And then and so those are the collaboration beers that are starting. Like we're doing one with St. Arnold. A lot of them are, and Cigar City, some great breweries.
Yeah.
So they're session beers. And there's a lot of reasons for this. One,
because you want people to drink 7 beers at the show.
Yeah,
still not cause a disturbance at the show.
That's right. That's exactly right. I want the breweries to make so much money at these events that they're excited for the next round of dates and tours and stuff like that. I want people to be able to pace themselves and let's be honest.
And not shit their pants.
Exactly. I mean, let's, not to put a finer point on it, but yes, exactly. That's the point.
Pretty much.
And if you think that that's not going to happen in all 90 shows,
there's always going to be one.
There's always going to be one or several. So yeah, we're doing a bunch of session beers, some really cool stuff. If I was smart, I would have had one here. If my wife hears me, she'll probably bring one in. I hear a rustling. I don't know.
That's the
I
end.
don't know.
And Mel's on her way. She's got two puppies in each hand.
Mel is on her way. I don't know if she heard me.
And a beer in the back.
Yeah.
So this comedy tour, give us the big plug. I know you have another interview coming up, and I don't want to draw out too much time from you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Look, look, we're doing like 90 breweries across the country. There is absolutely a brewery near you.
Yep.
Go to zanelamprey.com. You can see all the tour dates, all the locations. If someone's thinking about it, get yourself a ticket, because they like I said, they are selling out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
When we were doing like shows in New York City and Boston and wherever before, we were doing venues that could hold 600 to 1,000 people, and now we're doing venues that can only hold 300 people. So less tickets, and really, since we did the last tour, there's been a lot of shows, a lot of TV shows, and a lot of stories to come of it. So look, it's more than just stand up. It's a night to celebrate craft beer, get out there, have fun, laugh a lot, which we could all use right now, and just be part of something amazing.
Awesome. Zane, really appreciate your time, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for taking the time.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
Yes.
People can get their tickets on zanelamprey.com and check them out. It'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Sunday, October 3rd at Blue Point Brewing.
That's it.
I'm in, Blue Point, October 3rd. Now, I'm sitting in my office. I can see where the packages are delivered. So when the Peconic beer comes, that's where it's going to be, down there. Very excited.
There it is. We'll get it free for October.
Okay,
I want to hand deliver it to you.
Until next time, I'm going to be looking at it at my stoop.
And we'll get you some show swag too for being on the show. I really appreciate your time, Zane.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Cheers.
You guys, Zane.
All right. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Thanks. Well, awesome. Thanks a lot for Zane Lamprey for joining us. We are still on Instagram Live. We're still Facebook, YouTube, govsradio.com for anyone that was watching early on. It looks like the audio was cutting out at the beginning, but we got it pretty quickly, like within the first few minutes. So thanks everybody for sticking around. And now we're going to get into some beer. I mean, yay for beer. We have Jeff and we have James for Peconic Brewing out in Riverhead, Long Island. First of all, Jeff, let's start the petition to get Zane to come out to your brewery on the next tour.
I was like, if only I knew another brewery that could hold 300 people.
Yeah, boom.
I knew one.
And you have a beautiful stage and a beautiful outside. We're going to get to all of that. First, before we get to you, we want to get to our sponsors that keep the show running. Steve, take it away with Rosie's Draft Solutions.
All right. Rosie's Draft Solutions is a Long Island family-owned business that provides professional draft beer system services, line cleanings and maintenance, draft beer line system installs, even dispensing solutions and more. They are very passionate about craft beer and making sure it has the same quality as when it left the brewery, which is only done one way, by keeping that draft system perfectly clean. Rosie services bars, restaurants, halls, events, and all other beverage establishments, including home kegerator system installs and maintenance.
Oh,
They service the likes of WA Meadworks, Blue Point, Darling, 1940s, Rich's Field, and of course our buddies over at Hopscotch Bottle Shop.
Hopscotch,
just to name a few. You can reach them at rosiesdraftsolutions@gmail.com or call them at 631-219-2075, Monday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and mention the Wort, and you will get a special discount.
That's right. Give Nick a call and let him know the Wort sent you. Get 10% off your service and or hardware needs. We're going to throw it on over to good old Peter for Beer Maker, who, by the way, is going to be on Shark Tank. I wish we knew that for our show last week.
Yeah,
because Beer Maker Aaron is going to be on Shark Tank. I'm going to be super excited to watch him present this fantastic machine. Take it away, Peter.
Beer Maker. It's an all-grain at-home brewing system. It's currently sitting in my office, not making any noise.
Yay.
Because it can make a lot of noise, but you can tell it when not annoy the fuck out of you. Had one of the beers yesterday. Had the Ghost Wheat. Delicious.
Mm.
Really enjoyed it. They have a ton of new kits out there. They have a Smash series.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. A few different options there.
They came out with a new IPA as well.
A new red ale. Yeah.
Red ale.
Red
the
ale.
red ale? Oh.
I'm on it. That's the next one for me.
That's it.
It's a really cool product. You can brew a little over a gallon of beer in your house. No muss, no fuss. I did it last week. It takes like 20 minutes to get a recipe going. You add all the grains. You add your water. A few days later, it tells you to pitch your yeast, and that's it. And then a week later, you've got beer. It's fantastic. Use
Seems easy, right, James? It's that easy.
It's that easy, right? I mean, that's all. There's no sanitizing or anything.
No.
I think you put it really good on the show last time. It was all craft, no bullshit.
Yeah, I like it.
Should really just be their fucking tagline.
Yeah, I hope they said it at Shark Tank.
I'm really looking forward to that episode.
Yeah, be fun. Also, you can use the promo code THEWORT, THEWORT, all one word, and receive 10% off your order. And Steve, you said we used that also to get 10% off supplies, correct?
Yes.
The grain packages and stuff like that. So if you do get one, then you continually will get 10% off your order. So go to beermaker, BEERMKR.com. We're also sponsored by Brewbag, Beer Pong, Kong Ho outside. It's getting warm out there. So
it's definitely Brewbag season.
It's Brewbag season for sure. Go to brewbag.com or go to our Instagram page. Go up into our link tree in our bio and get a private page where you can get your discounted Brewbag. Go to brewbag.com, type in Wort, W-O-R-T, to receive a percentage off your order today. We're also sponsored by VintageBeerShirtClub.com for all your vintage beer shirt club needs. And also a big shout out to Hopscotch this week. Also, Brewers Hardware. Go to brewershardware.com and the promo code type in Wort, W-O-R-T, and receive 10% off your tri-clamp order. Go for it. Get your tri-clamps. And we want to thank all our sponsors for supporting us throughout this time. And like I said, tonight we're going to get down and dirty here with Peconic Brewing. It didn't sound quite right, but I'm going to say it anyway. Jeff, James, thanks a lot for joining us on the show, and thanks for sitting tight through Zane. A lot of fun with him, and appreciate your time tonight.
No problem.
Yes, thanks for having us on.
So, Jeff, I want to get down to the history here. So we saw you hit the scene right around the same time that we started our show.
It very much was a shart.
It was. To start our first season was really a big shart, just like Steve McKenna.
Guilty.
But we took a lot of cues from our brewers and learned a lot. You started out with doing this thing called the Long Island Beer Authority, and then that kind of evolved into this. Can you give a little bit of history of kind of where this all started, how the passion for craft beer and to start your own brewery came about?
Sure. And it actually started before that, which is a story that I don't really tell much. But after
exclusive.
Exclusive.
Wait. I actually do have that sounder. Now, I don't use it for our show. I use it for another show that I produce. But now, since you said that.
This is radio gold right now.
Oh, you're an asshole. Come on. Give me 30 seconds and I'll have it up here. It's not that difficult, but there it is. Oh, and then I don't have the volume up.
Oh, God.
Yeah, all right.
Totally
There we go. There we go. We're an exclusive here on the Worst. We're here with Jeff from Peconic Brewing, telling us a little bit about prehistory.
I am basically a failed Zane Lamprey. Is what it is. Listen to him talk. I'm what if he had failed. This is what it looks like, because I did stand-up comedy out here for years, 10, 15 years of stand-up comedy, up and down the city, all over the place, and I really enjoyed it. And I got hired to host this show. I got hired to host a pilot episode of something called Beer Town USA. And
holy shit, you really are.
I really am. I really am failed.
I had no idea.
I wish we had known this 20 minutes ago. That would have been a great fucking conversation. Like, look at what could have happened.
As he's talking, I was like, holy crap, this is what I was trying to do. It all makes sense. I failed my way into a brewery in Riverhead. The show
we wouldn't call that a failure. Let's start.
It's a pretty sweet consolation prize.
Yeah.
The show was, the producer wanted to highlight towns that were pretty crappy and then adopted their love for craft beer and then turned into great little towns. And one of the reasons I got picked is because I'd already kind of liked beer, and I lived here because the first episode was about Patchogue. And
man. Yeah. You could name so many towns in Long Island that fit that bill.
Right. But I went around and I interviewed people from Blue Point. I interviewed Paul when he was over at Brickhouse Brewing. I interviewed all these local people. Steve was with Long Island Beer Authority. But this was for the TV pilot. I did all this stuff for the TV show, and I thought it was awesome. I thought I was going to be famous, and I thought, this is it. I've done it. And then I was like, this is great, because once the show takes off, I'll start my stand-up tours at breweries across the country.
You really had the foresight.
I was like, this is home run. Nailed it.
God, you should sue Zane for copyright infringement.
And the show didn't get picked up. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But it started me. I had to do enough research about beer that I didn't sound like an idiot asking these people questions. And so I started learning, basic level, iceberg level stuff about beer, and really enjoyed it, and thought it was just super cool that I like this beer, and here's why. And I wanted to learn more about that. So after that failure, I started another failed project called the Long Island Beer Authority, but it had more of a purpose. And what I really got hooked on was the idea of, there's so much great beer here on Long Island. There's so much great beer. Why are some of these places so successful and some of them don't seem to be as popular? And I really wanted to wrap my head around that concept. And so I hit the road. I tried. My goal was to go and check out every brewery up and down Long Island, and some of them were nicer than others. Steve was nice enough, gave me a bunch of time. We talked. And I met brewers, I met owners, and it started kind of painting a picture. And it turned very quickly into this weird disease of, man, if I ever did this someday, I should find a little bit of local history people will like. You can't name it after a town anymore because those are all taken.
Yeah.
And then what people seem to like is, big spaces with food and something cool outdoors. And I said, okay, let me see if I could do that. But really, I need to find a great brewer. And I had told some of the home brewers what I was doing. And God, I can't remember the guy's name anymore, but he was like instrumental in this. He was a tall guy with a big beard, and I met him at all the cask festivals. And he was
Greg Kelly. He was a giant human being.
Yeah, giant human being.
Yeah, that's Greg Kelly.
You think so? Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's hard to miss Greg Kelly at a festival.
So I told him, I read him and talk. I said, listen, I'm looking for a home brewer. If they want to kind of take this next step, I'd love to find out. And then that introduced me to James. What was the guy's name in the shop in Bellport?
Danny Concepcion.
Danny Concepcion.
Yeah, he ran Brew and Beyond, a local homebrew shop in East Patchogue.
Right. And he said to me, he goes, Jeff, I heard what you're doing. I want you to meet this guy, James. He's a really great guy, does great beer. If you move forward with this, I think he'd be a good candidate for you. And James and I met, 10 months, 8 months, a year, every month to go over brews he was doing at home. And it was a good working relationship where, James was doing great stuff, and he was very capable of listening to what I was asking for. Like, hey, this is awesome. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? We kind of worked together and what the picture would be. And so at that point, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted the place to look like. The beer, I was confident in James that he would come out with some really great recipes and really great stuff. And then it became, let's find some real estate. And that was, 2 years of a nightmare before a year of a pandemic and a nightmare. And now I'm hanging out with you guys.
You say that's got to be like, you can have all the ideas and thoughts and even business model planned out, ready to go. But the problem is real estate on Long Island is tough. Yeah. And to have all those check boxes marked off between water, sewer, outdoor space, capacity, close to a local place where people can walk if they wanted to.
And a town that will take you.
Yes. And that as well. And of course, having the beer recipes there, that's an undertaking in of itself. Now, when you sat down with James, what were the first few things you guys were planning out to kind of, start off? And obviously, we know that you guys were started to brew this week, but have been open for a little bit. So how does that factor into it? Are those things you had to pre-plan, or those things you had to kind of address before you get into the venture?
Just totally making it up as we go along. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's for the best.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
What I told James is some of the other stuff I thought was important was the slogan of what we have is always going to be simply beautiful beer. And I think, there's so much beer. I think some of the beer can be a little intimidating for people who aren't beer drinkers, people who don't listen to your podcast, people who just like to go out and have a nice beer. They look at these boards sometimes and it's like, whoa, I don't know if I want that, raspberry guava leaf porter, it's just a lot. And so
I like a good guava leaf, little guava leaf floater.
Yeah, exactly. So we started working on that, and I knew James was trying to like impress me with like the most exciting stuff he'd come up with. I was like, this is really good. Now, could you make it just a little simpler? We kept just like, and I was like, James, he was so impressed with the stuff he could do that I had to like, we worked together so well on coming up with what the direction before it. And we did it today. We do it every day still. It's like, okay, do that. Okay, let's just do it this way. And then James will say, no, it's not going to work. Or, we kind of have a good relationship of working together, which I don't know that I could have got with all the brewers I've met. Some of them, I compare them to chefs, and they're their recipes and it's their way, it's the highway. And I knew that wouldn't work for me, and first beer we worked on, I think James, was the double IPA, right?
Yeah.
And I loved it. I said, this one I don't need to mess with. This one's great. What else can we do? And that's kind of, and then right away we started working on what became known as the Dream Girl IPA, because I really wanted a crushable IPA.
Dream Girl in the house right here.
Oh, nice.
Oh, been sipping on this out of my physics. Jeff, I don't know if you've seen this contraption, but this is a little draft system. And the one reason why I do like getting crowlers is because they fit very nicely in here. And throughout the night, I can just top myself off with some fresh cold beer.
Oh, that's
Physics.com. Go to Physics. No promo code for that one, though.
Awesome. That's great. I'll get two, no doubt.
Yeah, there you go.
And the Dream Girl we worked on, that was the one where I probably pushed James in directions more than the others, because I said, this is great. Now, can you make it a little less like this, a little more like this? I really wanted, I've become one of those, typical IPA guys, but I want it to be something I'd like, but also people who don't really love IPAs could drink it too. And kind of like, hey, maybe I'll try it. It's like a gateway IPA to much stronger IPAs. And then
I like that. I like that phrase, because it's a difference of when you hear IPA, you thinking right off the bat hazy, right? New England IPA, but this is a malty IPA, which I do prefer at times, a lot more times. And it reminds me of, some of the breweries on Long Island that kind of drift that way. And it's another one in that lineup that I'll seek out, because it is that flavor profile that I look for outside of the hazy world. And I'm sure that's kind of what that discussion was about. So was it a conscious effort to go in the more malty direction?
I kind of feel like it was a crossbreed between like Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale and Founders All Day IPA. So like if they had a love child, it would be somewhere in the middle of that.
It's good. I love a good Sierra, and Founders is great. Crushable beers, tailgate and stuff like that. And again, same thing. I appreciate the maltiness of both of those. So I think you hit a home run on that one.
Nice work, James.
James, when you're coming up with some of these recipes that you're thrown by Jeff, are there stuff that, again, you have a pilot system maybe at your house? Are you working on small batches first to kind of really dive into the variants, or are you kind of just like, all right, let's just try this?
No, I mean, I haven't just tried anything yet. I have a small pilot system here at the house. So all the beers that we currently have on tap, like I brewed them for Jeff first, and like we kind of talked about ideas and went back and forth of what we thought would work, or like if we're going to scale this to a large scale, like are we going to be able to get these ingredients in large bulk form? Is it going to be cost effective, or right, is the audience that we're looking to capture like going to like these ingredients? So we went back and forth on that for a while, but I think we've got a solid 10 on the board right now, and then we're still brainstorming more actually now. So we have some fun stuff coming up. So
I still throw curveballs at James all the time. He came up with a really great seltzer last spring when we were getting ready for that sort of thing. We're starting to get ready to launch it again, because you got to have one, right? And then I just looked at him today. I was like, hey, that's really great. Do that again, but make it pink.
Yeah.
He looked at me. He was like, yeah, make it pink.
That will sell like hotcakes.
You're not kidding. We brought in these because we have to have gluten-free options at the brewery, and we don't have seltzer yet. So I brought in these Montauk lemonade seltzers, and it was just, I'll just have the pink one, whatever the pink one was. So I looked at him and said, make it pink, and he's like, all right, I'll make it pink. So
as you see someone walking around the brewery with it, you go, oh, I want that, whatever pink thing is.
Exactly.
It's like in a restaurant, same thing. You're like the giant pretzel that you see. That's a giant pretzel. The same thing works at your brewery, because we looked at giant pretzels, and I want a giant pretzel.
No doubt.
I want to talk a little bit about the space, because you have this, very large indoor space and a beautiful deck. How did you develop the layout the brew house itself, the food place, and then kind of where's that fall underneath licensing and stuff like that? Because I would assume at this point you have a brew house license, right? Because you're serving food
we have
as
a
well.
microbrew. We have a couple licenses. We have a microbrew license, and we also have a resale permit. So we can technically sell anything we make and any other beer that other people in Long Island make too. We could put on tap.
You have a farm license for that?
No, not a farm license.
So it's different than the farm, but you could still resell
right
other products. Long Island only, or is it just in general?
It's in general. I could do whatever I want. I wouldn't do anything from Long Island. It's like it's so I can sell seltzers and cider and things like that if I need to, or if we run out of something and I want to fill a tap, I'm able to do so. We are going to get another license so we can get our wine eventually too. It's another thing people have been asking for quite a bit, which I didn't want to do because I was like, we tried a brewery. No, we don't have wine. But enough people's significant others want that wine and they're not coming because of it. So I'll do it.
Yeah, it's a definite business decision to be made because the guys come for the beer, the girls come for the wine.
It happens.
Yeah.
The space itself is 8,500 square feet. But when I took it over, it was just a big cement rectangle. No windows, no doors, nothing. It's just cement floor, cement ceiling, and pillars from floor to ceiling. And, every day I realize more and more that I have no idea what I'm doing in building a brewery. And there was challenges because of that and because of the space and because of being in an apartment complex. Our exhaust system for the boiler and for the kitchen has to go up 5 stories of building.
Really?
It can't go out the side. It's got to go out the top, and that's an expensive sentence I just said, and things like that really made it challenging. I did hire some consulting people because it was too much of an investment for me to hope I could figure it out myself. I think if I was ever good at anything, it's knowing what I'm not good at. I needed design for the brewing area. I needed equipment to help. I needed a kick-ass brewer. And I can do other things. I came in the restaurant. My family's been in the restaurant business forever. I worked for Cisco Foods for 10 years. I had a menu designed and the kitchen laid out in the first month or two. And we just finished the brewing layout like a month before we opened. That is such a challenge. Weight restrictions, exhaust restrictions, water restrictions. You talked about sewer. We moved away from 3 other places because they didn't have sewer. And it was like, okay, well, that's out. Just there's so much that I learned every step of the way. I said 3 months ago, man, I wish I could hire myself today to do this a year and a half ago because it would have been a lot easier and smoother with all the bumps in the road. But it's a great space. It does overlook the Peconic River.
Yep.
It has a 2,000 square foot deck with some really great patio furniture that people can hang out and have a nice beer and, just tall ceilings. It's got to be 20 feet tall for those tanks and all that stuff. And really happy with how it came out.
Now, did the name come from the location, or did you pick the location based upon a name you already had desired and built?
I had 2 names. One, if I had ended up Riverhead or East, and another one which was kind of garbage. I'm glad it didn't work out. And do you guys? I don't know. Does anybody know the story of Peconic County? Where that name came from?
No. You could let the audience know. I'm sure
I
they'll.
don't. I'll say
they
no.
don't.
I don't.
Someone say no. Thank you. Suffolk County.
Someone say no, please.
The east end of Long Island wanted to separate from Suffolk County back in like 1996, and they wanted to be known as Peconic County. It's a big tax thing. There's a lot of tax dollars out there that go all the way up to Huntington and Babylon that nobody ever gets to see out there. And there's other water needs and things like that. It really is like a different. If you've ever been to Mattatuck and Babylon, it's 2 different universes. So it's something people still push for. It never is going to happen. And but it was Riverhead East, and the Tooth Forks was going to be called Peconic County. So I said, if I ever did end up in Riverhead, that's the little piece of Long Island history I would go with.
Oh, very cool. What were the other names you were thinking of?
No one will ever know those stories.
Trying to get another exclusive. I even have the new one.
You got a sound effect all queued up?
I do. I have it. It's ready to go. But we're not
I had a
get
question,
to that.
Jeff. So I think you're one of, just a hand of all the, there's 50 something breweries on the island now.
More.
You're, less than 10% of those have kitchens in them. So what license allows you to do that? And how'd you come across that decision? Because it'd be, I imagine, a lot easier to just have a food truck pull in the parking lot.
Yeah, that was the Long Island Beer Authority research. That was the year and a half I did that. Was why do people like these places and what could be better? And when people had food on location, they stayed there longer, and they came there at different times, and they didn't leave at 5:30 to go to dinner and come back. They stayed there, and they didn't The difference was we're going to go to this brewery and then go to dinner, or we're just going to go to this brewery for a while. And then the food truck thing is, that's money you can make, and in this business, you need every penny you can get your hands on. So you can work out deals with the food truck guys, but really let me handle that. I'm the restaurant guy, if anything else. I'm really a salesman and a restaurant guy, if anything else, who just happens to love craft beer. And I knew I could put together a good plan for that part of it. It was a whole bunch of more challenges. You have the fire suppressant systems you need for a kitchen in an apartment complex would make your head explode. And, I knew it'd be tough, but it's just a different experience. It's an all day, any time of the day experience. We can go, we have good 1 o'clock Wednesday, Tuesday lunch crowds because people are there for lunch. They're there for lunch and then they get a beer too. And they love it because they're at a brewery for lunch, but just a different experience than I think they're getting. And especially being the 5th at the time or now 6th brewery in Riverhead. Well, you better be different somehow, right?
Right.
It's something better be unique because otherwise, again, there's just so much great beer. Why do I care? What's the why? That's the 2 years at Beer Authority and doing this was like, okay, why are people going to give a shit about my brewery? Why are people going to want to come? Everybody has great beer. Just assume everybody has great beer. What else can you control? And I just wanted to control the experience of what people were there. And part of that was food.
Jeff, not to put you off the rails, but we did tell our listeners there'll be an opportunity tonight to win tickets to the AC Beer Fest on June 4th that we're going to go down and broadcast from.
Oh, yeah.
So we did not really come up with a really great idea for this just because we're not in studio. We used to take phone calls for this ticket giveaway. But here's what I've been just thinking about and developing throughout the day. So what we're going to do tomorrow, when this show is released in the podcast version, we're going to ask people to go back and listen to the podcast, follow us on the Instagrams, and if they can guess the magic word, Aloysius, then they will DM me, whoever's the first person to DM me tomorrow, not tonight, tomorrow. You could do it at 6 a.m. I don't care. If you say the magic word in our DM, the first person to do it, Aloysius, you will win 2 tickets to the AC Beer Fest in Atlantic City on June 4th. Guess who's playing, Pete? Guess who's playing AC Beer Fest?
Oh, God, that's right. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, there you go.
God-awful fucking punk bands you guys love. So
yeah,
It's not Foreigner?
Oh, that's all the notes.
I just found out Offspring released a new album. Is Offspring playing?
No.
Oh,
incorrect.
Hall & Oates.
Hall & Oates and Art Garfunkel is going to roll over and play a show. No, Friday is going to be Knuckle Puck in the early November. Really great pop punk emo bands coming back because emo is not dead for sure.
Not dead.
And on Saturday is going to be Less Than Jake, and Sunday is Face to Face and the Suicide Machine. So anyone that likes,
it feels like you're making all these band names up. Like
shut
this doesn't
up.
sound like a real band.
Listen, we had the opportunity last year. If they went off, we would have had Goldfinger. And who else? Who else was going to be there?
Would they have just played Here in My Bedroom and that's it?
I'd play all the entire album. Come on, stop it, Peter. But no, there was a great lineup last year, and we were kind of like worried, like, I wish they would get. They went out and got some really good headlining bands for that 3-day. And Pete, you're going to sit there and do work. I mean, I'm going to go enjoy the concerts, and you're going to sit there and interview brewers.
I mean, I feel like that's a win-win for both of us.
Right? Exactly.
I don't have to listen to that punk show.
All right.
And
you'd be surprised when I get to get up on stage and introduce Les and Jake. Then you're going to be jealous.
Oh boy.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm lobbying.
There's so many reasons. No, that's all you.
So again,
it's a tough call on what I wouldn't want more to listen to. Like any of these bands you just named, or you whisper Aloysius in the mic one more time, which I know you're about to do.
Aloysius.
Both of those are so awkward and uncomfortable.
I know. So if you say the phrase that pays tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m., you DM us. The first person to DM us will win 2 free tickets to the AC Beer Festival Friday, June 4th. I believe it starts at 8 and goes till 12 at night. And we just saw a update from the AC Beer Fest. They have their restrictions are going to be lifted. They're going to be at 100% capacity. There were 12,000 tickets sold for the weekend. There's only about 3,000 left. So if you don't win the tickets tomorrow, you can always buy your tickets at AC Beer Fest on Instagram on Facebook and on Twitter or wherever you go. So if you say the phrase that pays tomorrow, DM us Aloysius, then you will win 2 free tickets. Sorry, Jeff.
I'm going to ask a dumb question.
Yeah.
Before we get back to Peconic County.
How do you spell Aloysius?
Yeah. How the fuck do you spell Aloysius? Because I don't know.
Someone's going to look it up.
I'll ask for the benefit of the audience.
No, don't. Just, you know what? There's a phone in front of you. You can just say, hey, Siri, how do you spell Aloysius?
Aloysius.
And it will tell you how to spell it. See? And then you just DM us tomorrow. First person to do that, first person in our DMs, 2 free tickets. We got you.
Slide in them DMs. It's the last time it'll happen for us.
Yeah.
James, set your alarm for 6 a.m. We could use those tickets.
Yeah, you want to go? The both of you can come down. We'll have a great time, man. It's Long Island will be there. Greg, Dan, Sheila, they'll all be down there. They're going to be slanging some beers out of there.
I've meant to go every year. I'm like, I'm going to go this year. And, I don't know. I'm old. Things don't come together like they used to. You know what happens.
Oh, shit.
So in 2019.
A brewery, a baby. Yeah, those things,
Well, 2019, Peter couldn't go. Steve wasn't an official member of the show just yet, but Peter couldn't go because you were having a child.
No, that was the hospital.
Terry was in the hospital. That's
that
right.
was, that was the wife in the hospital.
Right. You're right. Sorry.
That happened twice. That was the first beer fest that I missed because of wife in the hospital.
Yep.
That had happened the next year, the one in Farmingdale.
Yep. And I got Nick to sub in, and Nick subbed in for both. So I took Nick and Tom down. These are 2 guys that work with us to the AC Beer Fest. And I got to tell you, what a time. It's between, and this one's a little different only because of the timing of everything, but we had some of the greatest interviews of people we've never met before. People just surprised us. The guys over at the Hopped Up Network kind of walked us around and introduced us to people. We met some really crazy characters, some really great beers happening in New Jersey as well. In fact, I meant to tell Zane, our buddy Scott from Bolero Snort, he's going to be another one of the places where they're going to have Zane's tour. Scott is a great friend, and he actually DMs me randomly sometimes about stuff that's going on. He invited us actually to the opening of the new brewery that they had over in Hoboken or Hackensack, wherever the hell that was. And he'll be down there with Bolero Snort giving away beers, and we'll be hanging out with him too. He's a partier, man. You guys have a lot of fun with him.
Cool.
Getting back to you, Jeff. Sorry, I just wanted to announce that, get it out of the way, and people would listen to the podcast version on iTunes, Spotify, and the Hopped Up Network tomorrow, and they can win tickets to the AC Beer Fest. I want to get back to some things in regards to the brews. We're in our 9:00 hour, and I want to really start breaking down some of these beers. So we have, I'm drinking, and most of us are, Peter is already into the Saison. I'm drinking.
I started there.
Okay. Run me down the Dream Girl here, because like I said, for me, it's right up my alley for IPAs, very malty. Give us a breakdown without giving away some of the secrets.
James, why don't you take the lead on this? You're the
Sure. So Dream Girl is like a classic middle of the road ABV American style IPA. It's not a hazy IPA. It's not a West Coast. It falls right there in the middle. It's got Amarillo hops all in the boil. It's got Simcoe and El Dorado. So it's got a nice like orange, grapefruit, not overly bitter, pretty still easy drinking. Still got a little bit of that malty character going on. It's got a little bit of honey malt in there. Give it a little something.
Not all the secrets.
Yeah, not all the secrets. He said the something though. He didn't allude to what the something was.
And then obviously a nice clean American yeast in there that we used also.
Not those dirty German yeasts, right?
Routes.
Oh, and they canceled Oktoberfest again.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Europe and those are not doing as well as we are finally. Finally, we're on top. So, unfortunately. But it's still,
bad jokes in there.
Yeah, well, the Oktoberfest, people have been waiting for that, and since it was canceled last year, they were being anxiously waiting, and they announced it, I guess, yesterday or today that it was not happening, though they're in Europe, right? So I guess we're in a delay over here, so we get it in the middle of the night. And
hold on, that sounded like breaking news. Aren't you going to hit the button for that?
Of course I will. You got it, Jeff. Here we go. Breaking news. This year's Oktoberfest in Munich, Germany will be canceled. Canceled again. The 2021 Oktoberfest is canceled. And now back to you, Jeff.
I've already been looking at hotel accommodations.
Yeah, son of a bitch. Well, speaking of hotel accommodations, we are locked and loaded for AC Beer Fest. So listen, the Germans can come on over here and enjoy a great AC Beer Fest with some of the best beer on the East Coast.
The Germans.
There's another really good beer fest in September. It's Metal and Beer Fest in Philadelphia.
Yes, I have heard of that. What company is running that one?
I'm not sure. I just heard of it today from a friend. So
I've heard of it before. I got to get in touch because I don't go through the breweries or the reps. I go through the companies that run them specifically, and they're usually more than happy to invite us. We've been invited to a bunch of stuff we've had to turn down over the years. So they love having the publicity. Oh, see, and here's my dog.
Oh.
Hey, buddy. Get out of here. you're barking like one. Get out of here.
Thanks for clarifying, Mac.
Yeah. All right. You want to be the cat? You want to be like Zane's cat? No, he looked at me like I'm a crazy person. All right.
I'm not a crazy person who drinks drugs.
Drinks drugs. That's crazy. I don't teach these kids right. I got to do something about parenting. Should I end the show now and just go teach? Is this a teachable moment?
Any moment now, friggin' you're gonna have the police knocking on the door. Okay, sir.
All right, sir.
Take the kids.
Sir, we've had enough of this. I know you're an educator. You got to do better. So, guys, I want to kind of go through the iterations of this Dream Girl because, to me, I think you really dialed this in. I think you're there. I don't think you're going to be doing much tweaking to this. Was there other iterations and other kind of variants that you were using prior to this?
I mean, before we tried to do like something a little bit lighter, like a session beer too. And I mean, I wasn't a complete fan of like making it a session. So we got it where we added a few more malts to it and upped the ABV a little bit just to give it a little bit more malt character to it. I mean, currently now we're working on a different session with different hops coming into the summertime. We want to have something that's a little lighter and a little easier drinking too. But I think right now we have 3 IPAs on tap, so we're trying to cover all grounds. We have a hazy, we have a double, which is more towards the West Coast style. Like it's got more of a hop bite. It's got more of a malt character than Dream Girl itself. And then obviously we have the Hampton Haze, which is juicy, like hazy, a little bit sweet, more tropical IPA.
And speaking of supplies, we were noticing that you have a single elevator with a load capacity to bring your supplies up to your floor about, what is it, like maybe 10 steps up?
Yep.
How's that process of bringing in raw materials into the
It's very time taking. I mean, the elevator only has 1 speed, obviously, when you hold the button in. So you have to be patient and, take some deep breaths and focus on your task that you have to get done for the day. And sometimes you have to take the stairs, because that's the quicker route.
So I said to James the first time I took him to the space and it was just all cement still and we didn't have a patio, nothing. I said, listen, man, I think this place is going to be really pretty. I think we're going to sell a lot of beer. I think you're going to be busy and do some cool stuff. But I guarantee you there's going to be days you hate me because this was never designed for this. And we have 9.98 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. Like it's just, and those days were Tuesday, Thursday, and every other day this week. It's a little bit of a struggle. We just, it's a sacrifice we had to make with the space. It's like, do you give up this gorgeous customer facing space over the river to turn it into a loading dock, or do you hope you have a really great brewer doesn't mind putting things down a really slow elevator?
His quads are gonna look like friggin' Arnold Schwarzenegger's by the end of this year.
Yep.
James and I are built very similar, so let's do a lot of protein shakes, James.
Yeah.
You're gonna bulk up this summer, no doubt. No doubt. And Jeff, you were talking about before being part of an apartment complex. How does that play into the whole, vibe? Is there any like noise ordinances or things you got to worry about? Is the landlord cool? How does that play into the whole running a business and basically the first floor of an apartment complex?
The landlord's cool. He's actually a big beer guy. We signed the lease with some of James' beer. We bottled up from home and we cracked it on the roof of the building and signed the lease. So
that's cool.
That was a moment.
That's cool.
It's a challenge. There are 116 families above me. So, we close at 10 o'clock. Some of that's because, I just don't want to piss these people off.
Right.
You should have music on the deck. And I'm like, maybe not everybody wants that, and they don't like me on Saturdays when the parking lot's jammed full of people and they can't get home with their groceries. So I give them discounts. I try to be nice to them. If someone does complain, we take care of it right away. Some of the restrictions I talked about before with, exhaust and water and propane and things like that are just another challenge that came into this, things like You get through the whole project, and the last day, the fire marshal tells you can't turn on your fire pits. Like, well, we did all this stuff, but that's some of the stuff we've had to go through with it. Yeah.
And you had plans to put fire pits out on the deck, right?
They're there, but they're just cement tables because they won't let me turn them on. But that's okay.
Is it fire hazard, or what was the reasoning for it?
Yeah, fire. They have to be hard piped in. If you've ever lived in an apartment, you're not supposed to have a barbecue on your patio.
Right.
It's the same
Correct.
thing, really.
Gotcha.
You got to be hard piped in individually with safety valves every step of the way, and it's just another $10,000 problem that just comes up all the time.
Later down the line, I'm sure in a few years that'll be something you can address, and at least you got them already kind of in. Yeah. And it's just a matter of the piping and stuff like that. The other question I had for you is we noticed there's a huge empty lot next door. Do you hear any plans for what they're going to be doing there right next to the building?
Rumors are all over the place. I hear it's going to be another apartment complex, but
okay.
All that stuff is years and years out, which is a blessing and a curse, right? Because cool, another 200 families, but then you have more parking problems, then you have 3 years of construction, then you have who knows what else. But Riverhead's really—
They won't be in your building, so you don't have to give them a discount.
Right, exactly. You pay that 15%. You pay.
Yeah.
Riverhead's they're trying to be a little patchog, and that started with more people need to live here, and they just keep pushing. But who knows? They're going to put a town square in on the other side of that, which should be nice. And again, 3-4 years down the line, and the Riverhead's facing the wrong way. Everything should face the river, and nothing does. And so they realize that now, and they're trying to make it a better place to hang out.
And the great thing is, just right across the 2-lane parking lot there, you have the Riverwalk. So you have a lot of foot traffic, especially in the warmer months. And we noticed, when we were out there this weekend, how many people were out and about on a beautiful spring day. And that's got to attract people, seeing a big deck full of people drinking beers. I mean, that's a great location overlooking the Peconic River. You got the aquarium a block or so away. And that's what they're trying to do. Like you said, they're trying to kind of build up Riverhead as this destination place. 6 breweries, lots of attractions, wineries within 20-30 minutes, lots of great things. How do you fit into all of this business-wise, and how do you kind of build that audience over time?
Well, the town's been really good to me because I am the first brewery to really, or even establishment of this size, to take a risk on downtown Riverhead. Right. All the other breweries, none of them are downtown. And so, the town itself was like, we want this to happen. Here's a little help with this. Here's a little help with that. What do you need? What do you need? And that's been great. And for me, it's one of the reasons I'm family friendly, because every day I watch hundreds of parents with their kids go to the aquarium and walk back to the parking lot. And you know what? Every day we see mom and dad in a stroller having a beer at lunch because the kid just did their thing and they saw it on the way in. And I think family friendly is important. A lot of the breweries now aren't doing that. And I get it because COVID restrictions, that seed is valuable. But, mom and dad need to have a good time too. And kids don't take up a lot of room, and it can be a challenge. It's something I'm proud of, that you can take your kids there. And parents know better than to take it on a crazy Saturday night and all that stuff. But, today was a moderate Monday afternoon, but we were full of parents because they went to the aquarium on a rainy day.
Very cool. And case in point, Peter brought his whole
family.
Yeah,
I brought my kids. I was actually pretty impressed. My girls were super well behaved, so they got ice cream on the way home.
Reward.
And my toddler made it super awkward for everybody when he screamed at the top of his lungs.
Once though,
right in front, only did just once.
One loud blast.
Everybody know he was there.
Yeah.
And everyone in the brewery that was standing online looked around like, what the fuck just happened here?
We got those looks. We were those parents
for a second.
Just that 30 seconds. But I know what you're talking about with breweries. Some of them turning away. Not wanting that family atmosphere because, like you're saying, it's seats are limited, and you want to make sure everyone there can buy a beer, not just
right.
Free, a few of the. I saw right before I came down. Brewery out east saw their post. They were making an exception for Mother's Day for their no kids policy, and it was pretty clear they were saying like, your kids are welcome, but please, for the love of God, don't bring your fucking kids here.
We love them.
Yeah,
but
it's a luxury of the size of the place too, because if you only have 25 chairs in the place, I get that you can't. Yeah. It makes more sense. Luckily, it's big enough where if you put a stroller next to your 4-top, we'll be all right.
Yeah. And you have a very large space. What is your non-COVID capacity?
Just under 300.
All right. So there you go. Zane Lamprey,
There you go.
2022.
Next up.
So in COVID, with the restrictions and everything, we're at what, 50, 75% at this point?
75, yeah.
75. So, I mean, you still fit a hell of a lot of people. And you, like I said, we felt very spread out. It was great. Everyone's following, what they should do. And as we get closer now to, more and more, I guess, restrictions being lifted. 18th. Well, is it 100% capacity? 100%. Is it? All right. So there we go. 18th, May 18th.
It is, but everybody still has to be 6 feet apart and in a chair. So eventually that goose is cooked. So
I did see that.
There's nothing more I can do right now. It's like, oh, cool.
I mean, there's no, like a lot of towns were letting people spill out onto the street with some tables and chairs. And that's kind of not really an option for you because you're right up against the street there on one side and you have a walkway there on the other. It's a tough kind of.
Right. Although we're doing great with it. I really can't complain. They've been good. The SLA has been in a couple times to check.
Good.
But we do keep everybody 7 feet apart, and we do have the dividers up where they're necessary, and we make people line up. And it affects business, man. Something simple as, okay, when you're waiting online for a drink, you have to be 6 feet away from each other. So the line will go to the door.
Yeah.
But there's really only 10 people online. And any other time, that would just be 10 people leaning on the bar. The bar is 30 feet long.
Right.
Now people go, oh, I got to wait on that line for a beer. I'll come back later. So even something as simple as that drives me insane as a business owner. Like, oh, just order a beer now. Go quick, That's some of the COVID stuff people don't really think about how challenging this has been for every business out there.
Well, I'll tell you this, sitting at the table relatively close to the line and watching the line, it goes very quick. Your bartenders were excellent. You had 2 there when we first got there, 3 kind of working as the line got longer, hustling their butts off, trying to get stuff turned around so you can get people their beer and get them out there. I think that's really the goal, right, is to just get them moving, get people turned around, back in their seats so that line stays low. And then you had a 2-top at the bar to the right of the line, another 2-top, I guess, to the left of the line. So you're able to utilize your space very well. Was that something that, during this whole opening, and even including your grand opening, you had this plan set out from the beginning, or is it something that kind of evolved over time?
Well, it takes a long time to put this plan together to do this. So I probably had the layout of the brewery a year before we opened. And then 6 months before we opened, we had COVID restrictions. So that original plan got chucked and thrown in the garbage. And then you say, okay, now I have this many tables and chairs. What do you do? And it's something we still work on every day. Like, how can I get another chair in here and still be safe? Where can I put a divider? Something as simple as for opening weekend, we have these long, they're 9-foot tables that go up and down the whole brewery. And those are great. We can get like 8 people there. Okay, unless they don't know each other, then you can only get whoever comes. So the first day we had 2 tops sitting at this 8-foot table. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Like, right. I lost 6 chairs because of COVID. What do I do? And there's a guy who lives in the apartment upstairs. And one day he was like, I'm a carpenter. If you ever need anything, let me know. I called him that night. I was like, dude, I need dividers made by dinner. And he came by 7:00 and he's installing dividers in all the tables so that 9-foot table could be 2 4-tops instead of one big table that was taken up by 2 or 4 people. Little stuff like that, like change it on the fly. Like, can I put a chair there? Can I put one there? No. Okay. Still trying to figure it out. That's
fantastic. And good thing you have, again, the support of the people around you.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said it's a good thing you have the support of people around you.
Yeah. It's a good little community of people living there. That's nice.
James, we saw Pete crack open the Saison. This is the rye Saison. I am a fan of rye beers. I was a big fan of Rastafari. Speaking of Blue Point tonight.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Love that beer. That was that was actually the second tap I had down here in the basement. The first one was Magic at number 9. And then the next one was Rastafari. I love a good rye beer. Give me a little breakdown on the rye Saison.
So yeah, the rye Saison is pretty simple. It's just 2 malts. It's Pilsner and rye. We use a Belgian Saison yeast that we ferment at a little bit higher temperature to get some notes coming off of that yeast. The rye character comes through pretty nice. I think it's a rye malt and flaked rye, probably about almost 30% of the grain bill. But I always like a little bit of rye. I've loved rye beers, and I figured putting it in a Saison was an awesome way to go. I think it's a really good drinking beer.
Hold on, we have a breaking report. James, are you telling us that there's rye in the rye Saison?
Yes, I am.
All right, fair enough. Thank you very much, James, for reporting on that. See,
No
this
problem.
is fun. When we have a real studio, we have all these on the fly, but it took me a little bit the last time to get those running. I know. So what's the hop profile in this? I know you probably kind of quickly passed by that, but
It's a Saz hop, so it's one of the noble European hops. It's very light alpha acid, so I mean the
It's a
saison.
Belgian beer. Hops are not important.
Yeah, there you go.
and the yeast you're cooking up there, I know you said yeah.
Well, we use a Belgian saison yeast. Do you want to specifically know what yeast it is?
No secrets. No secrets. We don't want to divulge all of the secrets. Peter, you're the big saison fan of the group.
I am. I love it. I don't think I've had a rye saison before, so it's always good to have something a little bit different. But it's got all those characters I'm looking for in a saison. It's got that kind of like barnyard farmhouse kind of funk to it. It's tasty. Like it a lot.
Now you guys had a bunch of beers up on that board. We had the pleasure of tasting a few of those. If someone would walk into the brewery today, what are some of them other beers they would drink?
Go ahead, James.
No, that's fine. You take it away, Jeff.
You cut the checks, Jeff.
That's true.
Answer the questions.
It's true. They don't clear or anything, but I do cut them.
No wonder I saw James at Taco Bell yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Taco Bell. We do have the 3 IPAs. I'll try to always have 3 IPAs, but never more. There's a fine line of everybody loves IPAs to, that's just an IPA house. And I don't want to cross that line ever.
Yeah.
I'm really, really proud of James's Belgian Wit. We call it our 631, and he can go into details about that. That will be, we just started distribution last week, and we started with the Dream Girl IPA.
Really? Did you can?
We're not canning yet. We're just doing bars and restaurants and kegs.
Okay. So you do slims and stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But we sold out of our first 100 kegs of Dream Girl really quick through the distribution.
Nice.
I was really happy about
That's
that.
great.
Yeah.
The next one we'll be launching with Boning Brothers is the 631 Belgian Wit. It's just going to be a great beer to have in the summer hot day. We're really proud of what he did on that. We have the Flying Point Golden Ale, which is a beer we moved around a few times that we kind of made up a fake term for in Golden Ale that I like the beer very much, and it'll be kind of a one-time thing. The Stargazer is James's favorite beer. He could talk about that. That's a pale ale with some orange blossom and honey. Oh, there you go. Got it right there.
Oh, Peter got the pale.
He's got the pale. That's a really, people are very impressed with the profile in that beer. Like, oh, there's so much going on here, and it's I am as well. The Rye Saison we talked about. We have the Hither Pils named after Hither Hill State Park, and that's our Pilsner. I think it's important to have a Pilsner because inevitably people walk in and say, I just drink Stella or Bud Light. What should I have? And that's where we start them and teach them from there. And
I also liked that one was like less than 5% ABV. I think it's
Yeah.
like a super sessionable beer. I think that's valuable.
4.6.
Yeah.
Right. Somewhere in there. And I know, even the craft beer guys come in and be like, I'm a crispy boy. Give me something crispy. And then that's what they're going to go to.
Right.
Love it.
And the Amber Lager, the Colonial, is a beer I had to beg James for, and I'm so glad I did. But we got our lager on tap, and one of the first beers I liked was a lager. Yeah, when I stopped drinking Bud Light Limes when I was 20, and so
wait, you're going to answer one of Steve's 3 questions for you later. Don't go there.
No,
don't go there yet.
I will not.
Don't be specific. We'll say.
I specifically didn't say one of them.
Yeah, smart.
And then the Iron Pier Rocky Road Nitro Stout, which I'm not a stout guy. I am not a stout guy, but James put that in front of me, and we decided it would be a good nitro beer. That's something I wanted to feature, and people seem to really gravitate towards it. And
you know what? I don't think I realized it was a nitro. I might have probably grabbed one of those knowing that it was a nitro. Shit.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
That's for me not reading. That's on me. That's not on you. That's on me.
I started with the amber. That was that's one of those styles that I'm a sucker for. So that was the tough choice was the saison or the amber, but that's something I feel like it's underrepresented. That's not something you see a lot of these days. Especially at those breweries that specialize in IPAs, you don't see a nice amber lager. And
no, it's thrown to the wayside for the most part.
Yeah, we had a tough call to make with that one because we were supposed to open in September. That was kind of what we were promised by everybody. And obviously, we didn't open until February. So we had all these beers laid out and in production, and one of them we were about
would have been a good fall style, sure.
It was an Oktoberfest, and I looked at James and I'm like, James, okay, now it's February. What are we gonna do? And James made a few changes, and he worked with some people and turned it into a really great lager. And I think it's awesome. It's the other beer I drink when I'm there. It's weird when people are like, you must drink beers all the time. I'm like, yeah, once in a while, but the lager is one I lean towards for sure.
We've kind of tasted a bunch going around the table. I had the double IPA. James, I want to know the profile on that, because that also had that kind of malt forward profile. Whereas when you see, double IPA, a lot of people associate double dry hop, a little like cloudy, a little straw type look. Give us a little breakdown on that double IPA.
Yeah, so the double IPA, obviously it's a little higher in ABV. I believe it's clocking it at like 8.2.
Yep.
So we've got a lot of green in there. We layered some crystal malts in there. I think I've got like crystal 80 and crystal 60 in there. It's got 3 C hops, so it's got Cascade, Cashmere, and Columbus, and then it's dry hopped with Columbus and Cashmere. So it is double dry hopped. It's got a nice maltiness to it. It's like similar to a West Coast.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was thinking in my brain. This is closer to the West Coast IPA than that standard, double IPA people around here on the East Coast enjoy. But regardless, what the ABV is, that's kind of what I seek out. I usually go to a brewery and I seek out the highest ABV, even if it's a barley wine or it's a high clocked in stout or something like that, just to see how they deal with the heat. And it came across really smooth, really nice. So good job on that one.
Thank you.
So, being second time I've been to the brewery, and again,
sorry, getting a little cashmere for the cashmere hops. We'll do the entry music. Yes, you're using cashmere hops. Sorry, God.
And you guys do flights, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
We do.
All right, I got a great idea for you guys, and nobody else has been using it yet. I don't know why, but Pint Flights. I think it's a great idea. 4 pints, you take it right to your table. Are
we talking like 16 ounce?
Oh yeah. Pint Flights.
Here's the only thing as a consumer, because I was never a brewer, I never worked in a brewery, never saw the behind the scenes. The problem for me would be if I'm not just downing the pint, that last pint is going to be warm as balls.
You leave that one for the stout.
Right. I was going to say, so the only thing is you got to know beer enough to have that strategy.
Yes.
That you do the 3, let's say you do a 3-pint flight. 3-pint flight. Actually has a ring to it. And then you got like the low ABV. You got to pick something between, like 4 and 6.
I say they go with a 5-pint flight.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So 2 flights and get the whole
$40. Well, I mean, how about this? What if it's share a flight? Like
what we're going to do is there's going to be 5 pints, but it has to be the double IPA. We want
right.
There's a time limit. You have 4 minutes.
And then he has a virtual reality machine where you have to test your driving skills directly after that.
Exactly. I'm doing it.
Hey.
When I walked in, so I was down in Virginia over the break in April, and I went to a brewery called Precarious. And they had a very similar layout that you did. The only difference was they had a little more space and they had like a little arcade. So they didn't really use it for, beer wise, but these are for more of that family atmosphere where I can just give my kids a roll of quarters and send them on their way, slap them on the butt, say, go shoot me a couple of deer at the big buck hunter, and we're good to go for a couple hours. But the same thing, they had a very similar layout that you did. And the brew house and the inside space, the performance stage that you have here, the outside space that kind of wrapped around, and for what they are in Williamsburg, Virginia, is an excellent space. And I think they have a very similar vibe that you did as well. I appreciated, for me, the punk rock kid, the music that was playing, the vibe on the patio, the vibe inside. Did you guys kind of carefully go through this whole plan and really decide on all of these elements? Is that something that really, like, as a startup brewery thinks about? I'm just so curious about that concept. Like, do you really think about all those little details?
Every possible one, and more than once, because when it becomes time to actually risk everything you have and everything you'll probably make in the next 10 years, you just can't hope, is what it really came down to. And it very much focused on why are people going to like it here and what can I control? And like I mentioned before, I can't control that this is going to be your favorite beer on Long Island. I can't control it. I compare it to pizza. We all like to have a favorite pizza place for no real reason, right?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Just what you grew up with or what was local or whatever the reason is.
Right. So I learned quickly that was out of my control. There was great breweries that were empty all the time for no reason. I said, I can't control that. I can't control that you'll think I'll have the best food either. But the one thing I can control is that when you come here, you're gonna have an awesome time. And what does that include? Part of that is I had a weird time in my life where I ran a nightclub in the Hamptons, and you think, well, how could this correlate, right?
How weird did it get, Jeff?
I mean, Sean Merriman, housewife,
that's a different podcast.
Yeah, exactly. There's any weird thing you could talk about, Please just stop doing your drugs here. Like anything you think of.
Well, apparently I'm drinking my drugs.
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
So I got to really work on that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I pictured.
I look back at what that nightclub was. And again, these drinks were good and food was fine. But when people came, they had an awesome time. And all they wanted to know is that they wanted other people to know they were there having an awesome time. And so that's why you'll see a giant mural that people Instagram like crazy. You'll see a dumb statue that is fun for Instagram with. You'll see a beautiful outdoor space with furniture that looks great in pictures, and like every part of the experience is what I could control. And so I took everything I could to get it the experience I want. There's no TVs in the brewery. Why? Because I want you to sit in front of your stupid friends and have a conversation with them, and enjoy it. Don't stare at a TV for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because when I go to a bar and watch a game, I stare at a TV, I don't talk to anybody, and I leave. And that's not the experience I want you to have here. The experience you're having at the brewery is the one I think people enjoy the most. And the music and the stuff on the walls and
I will say Primus was playing when we walked in, and I was very happy about that.
Yeah, there you go.
John the Fisherman, specifically.
I was going to say, was it Sea of Cheese?
John the Fisherman, which I think is on Sailing the Seas of Cheese.
There you go.
All right.
And obviously now I have to check.
Yeah, Pete's got to do the research on it. I think that's an interesting marketing angle, Jeff, because a lot of people will see a brewery and go, oh, well, they just have a nice space or they just have this and that's all they are. But if you combine that with good beer, good atmosphere, like you said, removing the distractions as best you can to allow people to kind of come and congregate and enjoy each other's company, that can build more of an atmosphere than anything else. Right. I know that you said you were looking at every possible angle. What else am I missing here? And thought process and decision-making that went into this?
First of all, too, I don't want to downplay how important great beer is to everything. I just knew I couldn't control what everybody thought about it. Once I met James, I was very comfortable with knowing we'd have very, very, very good beer here and that beer people would like. As far as other decisions, little things, open kitchen. That's a little idea
that also.
Yeah. Yep. Just the amount of the brewing area you get to see. Where you look at it and you say, hey, look, they brew right there. Those are those giant kettles right there.
Those are the tanks.
But we don't need to see every tri-clamp or the floor drain.
Right. I can't tell, but they do it all right there. Something simple as everybody wanted me to put a drop ceiling in the place, and I refused because I want every inch of that 20-foot ceiling for people to enjoy.
And also, honestly, to absorb some of the sound that's coming out of the thing so you can enjoy more of the intimate table conversation. When it's so low, it gets much louder. Just being an audio engineer myself, I know that sound needs room to move, to have time to decay before it reaches back to somebody else. And it actually, with the amount of people that were in there, and it was pretty much every seat in the house was filled, it really wasn't all that loud, which was awesome. And you can have a conversation at the table and we can enjoy each other.
His son.
Yeah, right. Except for Pete's son screaming.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He wanted to, issue some complaints to the manager, but they were sorted out.
He wanted more pretzel.
Even the music setup we have, is I wanted a system that musicians could plug right into, so they weren't blaring from one side of the stage where it was too loud in front and too quiet in the back. That was an investment we made. And we keep talking about the giant pretzel. Well, the reason that pretzel's so giant is because when people see it, like you said, oh my God, look at that pretzel. I need that pretzel. Let me take a picture
see it
of
from
it.
Across the brewery.
Yeah, exactly. And my staff hates it because by 8:00 at night, there is salt from one end
everywhere.
All over our table.
All over our table on the floor. It's really the floor.
It's the floor because it's all
the floor.
cement. You can watch each piece of salt bounce down the place. They hate it, but I'll never change it. We're mostly a pretzel company that also makes a little bit of beer. Unbelievable.
I used to work at the meatball place in Farmingdale, and we had a giant pretzel. Same thing. Every table, every inch of that bar that someone was near with that giant pretzel, salt everywhere with the same little hooks, same everything. And it is. But you know what? Everyone in the place saw that pretzel coming out, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, I need a pretzel."
It's like the sizzling fajitas.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. And there's a giant pretzel everybody uses. It's giant pretzel. It's very, very big. Yeah. And I because I worked for Cisco for all these years, Cisco Foods, I knew there's this other pretzel that is just a little bit bigger. And I was like, you got to get me that pretzel from this company. I need this many. I need the hooks, and just little things like that, it is the experience. That pretzel's so big. The burger is supposed to, I could have gotten.
Burger was good. I had that.
Yeah, the burger, it's a brisket short rib chuck blend. Thick,
Tasty.
If I'm going to do these things, let's make
Steve got the pork belly sandwich. Holy shit. Baby.
That's our cheese toasties. Yeah,
it was awesome.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
I like I said, we watched when we sat down relatively close to the place where people are, picking up their food, and we just kind of, looked around like, oh, what's that? Okay, we'll take one of those and one of those. And it really does make a difference. I bartender at restaurants for 20 years, what sells, and all you have to do is sell one of them, and people go, oh, well, that'll do. Yep, I'm going to take one of those. And, the pretzel's a big thing just because it's big and bold, and you could see it from across the room. It's a big seller. How many of those do you think you go through a day? On like the busiest day, we'll say like a weekend or something like that.
Oh, about 250 pretzels.
Holy shit!
It's stupid.
Is your freezer just full of pretzels?
Yes. I keep every delivery we get 15 more cases, 20 more cases of pretzels. It's stupid.
That's stupid. Tell me a little bit about that brew cheese, because that was delicious too. Are you guys making that in house?
Yeah, they use the Stargazer pale ale. The chef utilizes beer in two items. One's the beer cheese. With the pale ale, and also if you get the funnel fries, which are, if you ever had a funnel cake, they're just in the shape of French fries. And he uses the Nitro Stout to make a caramel out of that. So we try to do some fun stuff with what's in house.
Yeah, makes sense. Steve, we're getting close to the end here. You want to go through your 3 questions so I can take a pee-pee?
All right. So
Steven's going to ask you the same 3 questions.
It's that time of the night.
It is that time of the night. I am filling up already to here because I started drinking before the show. That's the reason.
All right. So you guys could choose how who wants to answer first, but we'll go with the very first question. What was that first craft beer that you had that turned you on? You said, wow, I got to know more about craft beer. What's going on here?
Obviously, it was yada, yada, yada. No, the first, it was when I alluded to it a little bit, kind of. The first beer I had where I thought I was drinking something different, which made me want to know more about it. It's not that crafty, but Sam Adams Rebel IPA was the first IPA I had where I was like, hey, this is all right. I was like, IPAs are gross up until that moment. And then I
had Rebel Rider, the session one, which I also thought was delicious.
Right. And at that time, they had a couple new beers they came out with where I started buying variety packs, and it led down this terrible. And here I am, right? But the Rebel IPA, the red label, that was the first one where I thought I was drinking something fancy, and I wanted to know more.
Cool, James.
It's probably Toasted Lager from Blue Point.
Love it.
Yeah, and it's funny. I've asked this question many times, and I actually get a lot of that. A lot of people will be like, "Yeah, Toasted Lager." Kind of broke their cherry, so to speak. Second question: what's your favorite style if you were just to drink one?
I'm an IPA guy, and it's what I drink. Even wherever I go, I'll start there. I'll usually get a flight of whatever IPAs they have there, and then kind of make a decision, and then branch out a little bit. But I've kind of I'm stuck in that spot right now. James, and I don't want to spoil his answer, but he's trying to get me to enjoy saisons every time I see him, and I'm learning. And I'm learning. But,
do it.
I'm trying. I let him put one. If James had his way, there'd be 9 saisons on tap.
Oh God, sold.
Yeah, but it's really great. Nobody will ever come here, but thank you.
Except for Pete.
I love it. It's a great idea.
James would be there. So I hope I didn't spoil your answer, James. But I'm stuck in the IPA. I just they're all so damn different, and I haven't really, if someone tells you what you like most about why, I would struggle to nail it down. I just know what I like, and when it happens, it happens. But IPA.
What do you think's making on the island? Who do you think's making a great IPA right now? I feel like it's a shitty question because everyone's making like 5 fucking IPAs at any given moment.
There's Peconic County Brewing.
Yes. Oh, good answer. Good answer. It's not the beer I look forward to most on tap, but probably one of my favorite beers I see around is Barrier's Money IPA.
Boom.
It's
a good one.
Good answer.
And no matter where I'm at, if I see that at a beverage store or whatever, if I could get James to copy that recipe, I'd be the happiest guy on the planet, just so I could drink it at my house. It's my favorite beer going. It's just so consistent. Some days you walk into these places and you're like, let me try something new I've never had before. But then that can with the big grill is just staring at you, and you're like, all right, baby, come home with daddy. And that's
it's money, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
We had Bobby on, and I was talking to him about the collaboration they did with Sand City. That Ishcray, Ishcray for me was one of the best hazy double IPAs that I think I've ever had. It was so light, but yet so potent and so delicious. Something that they did with that. I wanted to find out the secret. I couldn't get out of Bobby, but maybe we'll get out of like Bill or somebody when we talk to Sand City.
You guys probably know more about this than I do, but I love everything they do. And now they opened Darling Brewing down here where I live in Patchogue.
Yeah. We had Chris on earlier in the year. He was the one that kicked off season 4.
Great. And Chris, I run into Chris, we talk, and I really like what they're doing there, and it has a similar type of feel to it, and I'm always excited to see what they got going on. I just like that type of experience.
Yeah. And they just did, they didn't just do, but they've done collabs to start off this year with Dubco. They did a collab with Nightmare. They've gotten the name out there a little more, so hopefully they can do better than Patrick Beer Project did.
Yeah, they were nice, and I was rooting for them too, but
I know tough business model in a tough town. That's what it is. It's just a tough town.
James, what's your I don't know if Jeff stole your thunder. What's your favorite style?
My favorite style always changes on like what I'm brewing because I'm researching it. I'm like trying other beers to see like if there's something that in like one of those styles that I particularly want to incorporate into what I'm doing. So it's like, and I always feel like my palate's changing all the time too. Like 1 minute you're like in love with IPAs, and then the next minute you're like, no, I want a Russian Imperial Stout. But
like that.
Yeah. Most of the time I love saisons. That's a good go-to style for me. Like people love to like hate on the French and Belgian style beers, but I'm like, they're fantastic. Yeah.
All day. That's it.
Yes.
And the last question. So you're out at a restaurant, not yours, and you're looking for a beer. What's your go-to beer other than something you brew?
Allagash White is always, especially fresh on tap, is just good.
I think Jeff already answered his Money IPA.
No, I like that one a lot, but really, Cigar City High Life.
Okay.
I went to Florida and I was on vacation a bunch of years ago, and I said, give me something local, give me something good. And the guy came out the bag with a can of High Life. Once I figured out how to say it, I was like, this is what I want to see at every bar around.
What is this Ja'ala?
What is this Muslim beer?
Yeah.
Where'd this come from?
I thought there was prohibition on alcohol in Saudi Arabia.
Didn't make much sense. Yeah, I mean, so Cigar City and Maduro was one of the first browns I've ever had, and that kind of holds a special place for me and like the experience over the years. We got a lot of people, by the way, recently checking in on Instagram. 90-second beer review. The boys over there saying what's up. Filbert513 said he went from a New England IPA to a fruited sour really quick this past year. Do you guys have any sours coming out on the schedule in the next few weeks, months?
Yeah, we're working on that. Once we get the brew house like a little more familiarity with it, and like I mastered the manifold there. We're working on a pineapple lactose sour.
Something very tropical for the summer weeks ahead.
Yeah, so
Hawaiian shirt Friday.
Yeah, there you go. That would look really nice out on the deck. The picturesque Peconic River, out on the dock with their Peconic sour and their Hawaiian shirt.
And of course, their pink seltzer.
Yeah, and their pink seltzer. Yeah,
Pink seltzer.
yeah. I mean, it's got to be. You got to have, like you said, a staple here for these upcoming weeks and months. Something that kind of draws them in addition to, like you said, seeking out the wine and bringing in local, wineries and other ingredients from the island. Having that pink seltzer has got to be, one of the things that could separate you out from some of the rest.
Well, it's as I said before, I'm only a sales guy that happen to really like craft beer, right? So James and I go back and forth of beers we really like versus beers people really want to buy, and that is the struggle. And
big difference.
Take the rye saison for example. James and I both love it. We both think it's a really good beer. Even I'm not a saison guy, I'm not a rye guy. I like that beer. It was one of the ones we picked, but people come and they have one and they're like, "Oh, this is really great. Let me get 3 IPAs after that." And so the difference of what we sell, if you compare the Dream Girl and the Rye Saison, you'd be like, why are you even doing that?
Right.
And it's a shame because that's where start talking about sours, and it's the same. It's going to be the same thing with the sours. We're going to make a really great sour. I've tried it. It's awesome. And I'm not a sour guy and I like it. It's great. And people are going to have one like, this was a really great sour. I'll take 3 IPAs, and that's just what's going to happen. And it's a weird business, but that's the balance, right? But if you guys,
I feel like sours are making a lot of inroads. I feel like that's like for summer, like that is the IPA is
right. Well, I mean,
everyone's going sours. I know Mike is.
Yeah, of course. The third year, we're in like the third season of sours being one of the most prevalent, things for the summertime months, right? So I remember a few years ago when sours started becoming a thing, and I'm like, I'm not quite there. I'm not. And then all of a sudden, like there's a few that local breweries have made that I went, oh yeah, no, I can totally get into this. I'm not talking about 450 North. They make smoothies, although Philbert 513 loves a fruit smoothie. But for the most part, I like a good, clean sour. So Dubco made that raspberry and black tea sour. That's right up my alley. It's not over the top sour. It's not over the top flavor or sweet. It's got a good balance, and kind of that's what I'm looking for. So if you can balance out those fruit flavors with, some sort of other thing. Ghost makes a really great sour as well. They did a couple along the way in the last few years. Those are the types of things that really, I think, that are going to start converting over some palates, not only for the standard IPA drinker like myself, which is pretty much what I've been for 10 years now, but also to kind of give them an option, a secondary option outside of a saison or maybe even a lager or a pils. I go, oh, well, something else that I can sip on that's not overly sweet or overly sour.
So it totally is about options, and it's about differentiating yourself from other breweries. But even someone yourself, you say you like sours. If you compared your beer purchase volume to sours to any other category,
right,
that you'd be like, oh, it's probably 10-1.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the balance. And we have 30 barrel fermenters. Okay, so we're going to make 60 half barrels of this pineapple lactose sour. And how long is that going to sit there? Right. So, okay, we'll make a half batch. Okay, so we'll make a half batch. Okay, but that is time. I got the distributor banging my head in for more IPA and more wit. And I got, 30 kegs of the sour that we're going to sell all summer long. It's just the balance of what this looks like. That's the reason some of the stuff, you got that line of, sales versus cool stuff you want to do. That's why there's 10 taps. I told James, I get 5, you get 5. That's kind of how we live, and we wanted his 5.
And that's got to be tricky too, because let's say we go into these summer months and all of a sudden sours just explode. You got to be ready for that. You got to be ready to provide the audience with something that they're going to want. And if you're a lineup that doesn't have a sour, people are going to look for that and go, oh, well, this place doesn't have a sour. All right, so let's find a place that has sours. It might be that way. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. So you got to be prepared.
Want it that way, sir?
No, I don't. I still will go to my IPAs. Are you kidding me? I would drink Dream Girl all day. It's delicious.
James and I are lucky to work with a woman named Christine McCormick, who formerly of Jamesport Brewery, is out of the three of us. She's the most organized 2 people. I'll just say it's that bad.
I'll concur with that.
Yeah. And so, when I ask, I'll be Christine, I need a map of when we're going to run out of everything here and what's going to replace it and when do we brew it and when will it be done so we can bridge these gaps with the
I see what you're saying. Yeah, exactly.
So prepared. And this is a meeting. James, Christine, and I sat down for an hour and a half today going over, okay, We're going to run out of this. What date are we going to run out of this? And when do we need to start brewing to be ready? And what is the plan for the season? And if Christine wasn't there, it would be a lot harder we'd get it done because James and I are smart adults, but Christine is really helping driving the ship to make sure that people get the sours when they want it, to make sure we have our pumpkin beer when it's ready. She's just a really great part of the team I want to make sure we talk about today.
Really quick, 90-second beer review. I'm not sure if it's Howie or whoever agreed that the Saison was delicious, had a couple of weeks ago, and it went great with the burger on the menu. So you're doing some careful planning here with the beers and the menu.
I concur.
That's one, the menu is pretty safe you can line up those food items with almost anything. We as things get going, we might match them up a little more in the slower seasons.
Yeah.
But as we're coming into summer here, it's just, let's get some great beer up there. Let's get some great food on there, unless the people match it up themselves.
There you go.
James, how was it working with Steve? I'm just going to throw it out there. I had to bring it up at one point.
Well, guys, it was a good night. It was good seeing you.
And here we go for the roast of Steve Faminsky.
No, working with Steve was just awesome. Like from day one, we had a good camaraderie, always fun, telling jokes, good atmosphere. I don't know. We worked like a really well-oiled machine. Like we had one or two other guys that were always in there from time to time working with us. And like everybody would do their part to like chip in and make sure the work was done and that we were doing what we needed to get done, And then if we had a moment of free time, like maybe we'd be out in the parking lot while we were doing
wiffle ball.
Yeah, wiffle ball, for like a few minutes and just enjoying the sun for a minute, But working at Barrage was awesome times. I still hold it close to me. So, and I appreciate Steve giving me, my first job in the industry. So, and he taught me a lot. So it's awesome.
Sorry, 90-second beer review. I know it's Howie and Ryan. I'm just in the middle of trying to ask a question. By the way, I know they responded as Ryan. I know it's Ryan. I'm just trying to get to the question quicker because I've had a lot to drink tonight. So I apologize, Ryan. And Ryan, thanks again for having us for the Valentine's Day spectacular. Yes, no, I know. And you have your glass there, aren't you? There it is. Pints of Love. Great, I guess, online virtual beer fest, which was awesome. I had a lot of fun doing that. So sorry, Ryan. I know it was Ryan. Again, I was just trying to get through so quick. And I'm still kind of living my high from interviewing Zane Lamprey. Sorry about that. Really quick. So Jeff, what do we have planned for the future here? What's the first thing on the agenda that needs to get accomplished, I guess, inside or even outside of COVID restrictions? And then kind of what can we expect here coming up in the future?
We need some new beers on tap, which is what we're working on now.
I was actually going to ask, you guys just started brewing.
Yeah.
What were the beers you guys brewed?
So we brewed the Dream Girl because we do have a very high demand for that right now, which is awesome. And we brewed the Hampton Haze because James and I just had different goals for what we wanted that beer to turn out like. So we're going to make that accomplished now. To put it that way. And so we start with that. And then the third beer we're going to brew maybe tomorrow, James, did FedEx come? Anyway.
The ingredients show up in the elevator. We'll get them in
pretty much. We're working on a passion fruit blonde ale. Get ready for summer. That's going to be the next one. And then right after that, we're going to hit the session IPA and kind of move on from one of the other IPAs. And, it's so funny. We've been open for 2.5 months, right? And people are like, no new beers yet? I'm like, hold on, man. We're just getting going. Whoa. So it'll be exciting to get some of James and Christine's hard work out there, actually soup to nuts from the building. So that's coming soon. And then, it's fixing every leak and it's redoing the systems. And we were on Channel 12 News this weekend.
Yep.
And we got our faces beat in with customers, which was awesome. But it it took ours real quick that like, okay, let's fix some of these systems to make them a little better. Do we need another guy in the brewing area? Do we need another cook? Do we need another hostess? Do we need, you name it, let's fix it. And it's just I meet with everybody every week and I say, okay, what do we do to make it better? Great job. What do we do to make it better? And that will never stop, from food items to beer to music to you name it.
Well, 20 years in the restaurant industry, every day I came in, there was something new. And I used to get sick of it. But then I realized as I grew through the years, how important that was for the business to continue. It needs to constantly evolve and address the audience and the customers, needs. And that's the way you stay in business. Otherwise, you're just going to fail and everyone's going to get a bad rap. And there they go. Bye-bye. Never again.
Right. It's the why. Why am I going back? We have guys who work at the aquarium who come 3 times a week. And if we don't do,
Nice.
I'm not even exaggerating. They're great. And if we don't,
Because penguins will make you drink.
I was going to say, I'll trade you a penguin egg.
We have asked 100 times to bring the penguins in, but if we don't add specials or have something new for them to look forward to, or even, you guys may have noticed I'm very active on social media, and it just needs something new to talk about, because otherwise you can't hear the same story over and over again. We have a pretty deck and we have a big space, like that's going to get old, real quick. So it's just what's new, what's next, why are people coming in this weekend?
Really quick, Philbert513 said blonde ales are great for the summer, warmer weather. So excited to get out there. So Phil, you better get your ass out to Peconic County Brewing and go ahead and check them out. Gentlemen, really quick, really appreciate you spending time with us today and being patient while we had Zane on earlier. I want you guys to get all the plugs out there, all the information that people can find you and get you on all the social media. And of course, give me some hours of operation, where you're located and all that other good stuff.
You can follow us at james.miller. Don't do that to him.
Send only dick pics. Sorry, James. There you go. That's what you get. I know. Well, you know what? I'm getting a little tipsy, so this is why we end the show earlier. Because otherwise it would be not just that.
He's more of a feet pick guy anyway. But anyway.
Fair enough.
Follow us on Instagram. That really is where the most active, at Peconic County Brewing. The website has updates, PeconicCountyBrewing.com, but Facebook, all the spots. We were lucky to get Peconic County Brewing. Instagram is the most of it. We're downtown Riverhead, 21 East Main Street, down by the river.
Down by the river.
in a brewery.
Down by the river.
Yeah,
I like it.
And that's it. Everything's on Instagram. Follow us there. We're open every day from noon to 10, Monday through Sunday. Lunch, full kitchen. No, you can't bring your own food in. No, we don't take reservations. Yes, your dogs are welcome on the patio. Those are those phone calls I get all day.
There you go. Those are 3 top phone calls. You know what? You should probably start taking a page out of barriers when they were doing like those mini episodes, like a 3-minute Instagram TV kind of thing.
Oh, great!
You got to do like a parody of Down by the River. That would attract people.
Done.
Sit on the dock and just
do it.
Let's get a beer down by the river. That'd be perfect. We'll put somebody in there for you. I'll hire you a good talent that could really do a Chris Farley very well.
When Zane is in town, we'll get him to do something.
Now we're talking.
There we go.
And I'm serious. Let's get Zane some beer for October 3rd. Whatever it takes to get him there, to get it there. I'll be there. I don't know if you guys are going to end up going or whatever. Maybe know someone at Blue Point with a hook, but let's get him some Peconic County Brewing Company, and we'll I want to hand it to him. I'm like, this is the beer I told you about.
I'm still a little depressed of realizing how much I am a failed Zane. I am just it was too much for me. I'm like I guess it was possible. Somebody did it.
You know what? If Zane ended up failing as well and opened up a brewery, I think he'd be just as happy with all his cats and his beautiful wife. Yeah. So
his dogs, cats, and everything else.
Yeah, everything else. Gentlemen, again, appreciate your time. Thanks very much for everything tonight. Go to Peconic County Brewing Company, really Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I did. I started drinking way too early tonight, but that's all right. I needed to take the edge off. There it is. Look at that can. Beautiful crowler. Aloysius. If you want to win tickets for tomorrow, again, if you say the name or the phrase that pays Aloysius, then you can absolutely win 2 free tickets to AC Beer Fest June 4th. AC Beer Fest, 2 free tickets. DM us tomorrow at I guess 6 a.m. Whatever you feel like it. Whoever the first one is to get us, you'll get the free tickets. So check it out. We will be having Ouzelfinch Brewing Company down in Virginia in 2 weeks, and then we were live at AC Beer Fest June 4th and 5th, a weekend of good times. Again, thanks James and Jeff for being with us tonight. This is the Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve, GubsRadio.com. We'll start with you, Steve. What do we got?
I just want to say we lost a real great brewer and mentor for me, and Tommy Keegan from Keegan Ales. Passed away suddenly this weekend, and brother, this one is for you. May we meet again.
R.I.P. Goat. Thanks a lot, Keegan, for everything you guys have done. Pete,
I'll drink to that.
There you go. This is the Word with Mike, Pete, and Steve, GovsRadio.com, and we out.
Well, that's 2 hours of your life that you'll never get back.
Are you kidding me?
Please hang up and try again.
This has been the Wort on Govs Radio. I hope you're drunk enough.